Hi everyone, today on ZenturiansMoney.com we have a new video for you, From Poor to Rich. What is the difference between rich and poor people? Something genetic, something that is virtually impossible to change, or is it a natural capitalist law? Today we are going to answer your questions, and we will be doing that by studying the education, habits, and mentality of wealthy people. So, let's look at some examples. Artists and singers have a lot of money, though it's not necessarily due to their academic education. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg didn't finish their studies at the university. Many athletes and players get diagnosed with mental illness. Nevertheless, they are rich, so the XX century advice of keeping hard working, achieving good grades, entering a college, and working at a big company job is enough to be rich. Is that the best advice to get rich and earn money? Isn't the XXI century changing around human history? Shouldn't we change our strategy? I mean, to change the world before, we had to open a factory. Nowadays, we have to open our laptop. 6 steps to get rich now. First, the rat race. We don't seem like humans nowadays, we seem more like some robot that just follows orders. And if you don't think it's true, let's take a look at an average person. He or she was born, then they go to a school where they have to get good grades. After that they must find and enter a college, in which they start accumulating debts. They graduate and finally find a job. Their life is looking fine. They now earn money and maybe now they own a house, but their debt grows bigger. Besides, maybe they got married and they have kids. So, overnight everything is different. They have to work hard each day while their debt grows even bigger, which they must pay at some point. Second, the past is the past. Like we have already said, maybe our father's advice would have worked in the past, but the game has changed, and we have to change our strategy, because if we don't, we would end up driving some cheap, old car instead of a Ferrari. For example, an evident change in the industry is based on employees. In the past, when a company laid off employees, maybe the company had economic issues. Nevertheless, nowadays a company would reduce its costs and its shares soar on the stock market. Therefore, it's time to wake up before a robot does it, and mentality is the first and most important step here. Because you could complain about your job, family, or friend, but everybody knows that it doesn't help you, or maybe you could play passive about the situation. But we are better than that. And we won't take a rest and hope that everything just solves itself. Because we will learn a lesson, find a solution, and make a plan to win and succeed. Third one, leave the race. Now, the question is how to leave the rat race, keeping in mind what it means. Not about drinking the CAF quickly to arrive on time at your job, because everybody arrives on time. So, we advise you to make something simple, but also really important. Don't work for money, let the money work for you. This is something known in the finance world called passive income. To be precise, something that produces money in which you aren't physically present. Yes, this is possible. Let's look at an example. John is renting a home in downtown. Due to that, he pays Peter and Michael. Peter earns $10 per hour cleaning the house, so obviously, he has to stay there to earn money. While Michael is earning $2,000 monthly because he is the owner of the house, and he will earn that money without it making a difference regarding where he is. So, Michael has a passive income, because he doesn't have to work like Peter, he leaves that money to work for him. Already explained the difference between passive income and working. Saying that you need money to receive passive income is bullshit. It's as fake as saying that an awesome car with a drunk driver will arrive safe. The problem to get rich isn't the lack of money, it's the lack of financial education. But worry not, because we will teach this today. Let's start by adjusting these terms. From money brings problems to poverty brings problems. From go to college and get a stable job to educated and smart work. From I can't buy it to how can I buy it? From money doesn't matter to me, but I work every day, to money is power in this world. Fourth one, the system's problem. We understand that a lot of people are scared of these ideas, but they want to stop working, retire early, and to be free. And don't scare more about debt. And to make it possible you should learn financial education, something that is not common but really valuable. For example, any school teaches about money, maybe they have classes about earning or saving it, but not using it. So, this is taught by parents, banks, and some companies that aren't able to live without debt or salary. And the majority of parents teach their sons about the ancient economic system that didn't have credit cards. While banks and universities want obedient people that are afraid of losing an employee or giving out high wages. And a simple example from this is the law college, that teaches its students how to work in a certain company for thousands of dollars, but they don't teach them how to earn money without work. And this happens with doctors, teachers, engineers, and any professional. But if you want to change your future, you have to change your mindset and forget about your feelings regarding money and luxuries. Saying goodbye to euphoric shopping, and think first before acting. For example, let's take a look at the supposed big recompense to study in a college and earn $100 each year. I mean, it sounds good, but is it excellent? Let's see. Colleges hide this, as governments take off 10 to 12% monthly for retirement, 9% to health care, and 5% to social care. So, before you receive your first wage you won't have 38% of that, and these are percentages, so the more you work, the more they take. And they won't stop taking from you until you die. And if you buy a house they won't give you peace. Each time that you buy something you have to pay around 20% of VAT. And if you bought a house, you will have to pay 5 to 8% annually from your house cost. This situation means working until May or June only to pay your taxes, and another 3 or 4 months to pay your debt or credit card to the bank. So am I seriously talking about $100? As it is possible to see, you aren't working only for your boss, also for your government and bank. Although many say that this is the only way to succeed. Now a possible question is it a good idea to buy a home? Well, regarding the house, the rent could be cheaper than fixes, debt, and taxes. And the saved money could be used to invest. After that you could use that invested money to buy your dream house. And when you pay your house, you will continue having that passive income that produces more money. Fifth one, why do the rich get richer? Because the rich keep their spending unchanged, so each time they earn more, they have more money to invest and to earn. So, the money grows by itself. And they don't pay taxes for 6 months, due to them usually having a personal corporation. Let's remember that this is just a paper in an office. And with that company, they can buy whatever they want before paying taxes, and paying taxes only for the money that they didn't spend on. Besides, companies' taxes in most countries are lower, between 10 or 20%. At the same time, they avoid lawsuits because you can't demand someone's company for a personal mistake, but they control everything. Number 6. How to keep assets. There are many ways, but the most important thing is your mindset. Well, there could have been anybody who would have bought the asset through a bank transaction. The biggest problem is to find the asset, but in most cases, it is under our noses. For this it's really important in the first year, isn't working for money but knowledge. So if you work near accountants, even if you don't earn much, you will learn the basics of accounting. This will make you learn about how companies work without regarding the amount of money that you earn. Rule number 1. Understand the difference between a passive and an asset. The easiest way is to see how much money you make monthly. If it is a negative value, it would be passive. If you understand this, you will not be like the majority who spend their lives looking for passives or luxuries such as a car that takes money from you monthly. Rule number 2. Understand the importance of having a fixed cost base. Because if you spend all or even more, it will not matter how much you earn, so you will be in constant debt. Here we are not only talking about money, because it is better to work until 5 to have time to learn and invest big and win big than working so hard that you don't have time to invest and win. Rule number 3. Knowing a lot about little is useless in finance. Even though all academics seek specialization and be experts in a single field, in finance it is better to know a little of law, a little of accounting, a little of marketing, and a little bit more in production. And hiring specialized advisors in these fields, so that they take care of the specific field, and we have the business. Rule number 4. Once you achieve financial freedom with your assets, it is time to reinvest your surpluses in other riskier actions where it is more possible to lose, however, but it is also possible to win big. I mean less safe but more recompenses. Rule number 5. Remembering who you work for, because there is no point in working hard during an entire day for your boss, your government, or your bank. Therefore, the investments of time, money, or intellect must be exclusively for you. Hi everyone, today on Centurionsmoney.com we have a new video for you, how to invest money. If you have already completed the first and most important step, of recognizing that you need investments to generate money without having a job, this is for you. With this you will achieve financial freedom and fulfill your dreams. So, let's start. The questions that you need to answer to invest correctly. First, how to recognize a good investment. The most important thing to make money is to have the knowledge enough to understand how the world and the business work. Here are some important fields: accounting, being able to read numbers. This generates knowledge about the movements that are made every day, that is to say, each hammer blow that you do to your empire to forge it. You will need precision and logic to identify weaknesses and strengths of a business. Investment, earn money. You need creativity in finding things where nobody sees, where the market is headed, and to make solutions for everyday problems. Understanding, finding supply and demand. It is based on the combination of both, that is, matching the numbers with the business. For example, some companies have good sales, but that is in a market that might disappear. Like printers or cameras. Law, know the rules of the game. If you know the rules well, no matter who is threatening you, whether you're government or banker, you can beat it on your own, easily. If you want to know more about how the government takes between 40% and 50% of monthly income, I recommend this information. Apart from their knowledge, it is specifically good to invest in businesses that operate with third-party administration, corporate stocks, bonds, mutual funds, royalties and patents, real estate, promissory notes, and that which constantly produces money, crypto funds in the market. Investment without money. It is possible and genius, for example, to hire for bankrupt people or mortgaged properties that can be bought at a very low price, ask for a loan and fix it if necessary to get a higher return, then find a buyer and lower it in 10 or 20% with the condition that the buyer pays for the legal procedures. There are plenty of examples like these in the stock and crypto markets. Second one, how to be a professional investor. Professional investors are not in charge of investing in mutual funds, where despite being safe, in most cases they are so safe that almost no investments can be found anymore. To become a cash printer, you must know how to, first, find an opportunity where nobody sees, like to buy abandoned houses and demolish them for their land. Second, get capital. This means ways to get money without the bank. And to organize smart people who make great decisions while you enjoy life. Third, learn without money. It is a very common problem, but the truth is that it has a very simple solution. For example, many companies have perfect training programs for their employees. In this way, you can meet your goal of learning a new skill at the same time that you get paid and you have real experience, not in a classroom, but in the market where you are going to dedicate yourself to and without wasting time in useless classes. For example, do you want to learn leadership? Go to the army. Do you want to learn marketing? Go to an advertising agency. Do you want to learn to account? Work for an accounting assistant who works in your market. Do you want to know about the law? So you could help at a buffet or even in court. The point here is that the best way to find knowledge is to live it, and remember that the important thing is not the payment or the wage, it is that you are going to learn and you will be paid for it without going to an expensive and long-term university. What to learn is one of the best questions that can be generated, and these are the three main branches. Number 1, personnel administration. The art to communicate assertively to generate the desired impact. This field includes the negotiation of conflicts and the sale-purchase of goods and services. Number 2, team management. This refers to leadership, the contract of smarter people, and the generation of effective cooperation in the team to be able to get the best out of it in the shortest time. Number 3, cash management. It consists of managing income effectively to be able to make the right investments at the right time, in addition to reducing expenses and generating more opportunities. Third one, what you are facing when you invest. This is a list of the main reasons that people are afraid of leaving their safe job and that you must overcome. 1. Fear. As we mentioned before, the problem is not fear or emotions, because these are the things that make us humans. However, the problem is in managing them. To do this, remember that winning means not being afraid to lose, and most people are so afraid of losing that they lose. This means that many times you could have had a perfect opportunity, but you were afraid of losing, and instead of taking risks, you preferred to play it safe. But we are all tired of playing it safe and that the little you earn is for the government. And never forget that sometimes you win and other times you learn. 2. Cynicism. It is the weakness in which a person only seeks the worst possible result, but we Centurions are better than that, and we know that seeking weaknesses is even a quality when choosing the right investment. However, we must control this voice who speaks to us and mute it to allow the business to speak and listen to its strengths. 3. Laziness. Here we will not only talk about the delaying of important things because we know that laziness is not alone and it is often accompanied by fear of failure and lack of ambition. That is, in the head of a broke person, it's 100 times easier to watch Netflix than to face their situation, and each time they look for excuses until they become the laziest. Remember to have ambition. 4. Bad habits. Here is a formula to make your mind work like a money machine. Pay yourself first and then think about others. That is, invest your money in assets from the first moment you have. Later your mind will find a way to get rid of annoying guys like bankers and public workers. 5. Arrogance. It was believed that fear is the worst of all, but this is the most difficult obstacle to overcome for many since it includes fear, ego, and ignorance. In other words, apart from having a person who does not take action out of fear of public failure, they also think that someone can't overcome them, so they normally react with contempt or anger towards those who do better, causing the effect of ignorance, because they think they already know everything, and it is the biggest lie of the 21st century, where new information originates every second. 4th. How to start. List of 10 steps to achieve your dreams. 1. Objective. Establish a clear objective, that being 1,000 or 10,000 times greater than what you want. In this way you will force yourself to work harder and smarter than what you would have done with something easy, but it is also important to divide this objective into small steps and make them achievable, so you have a plan. Also, we recommend a larger motive than multiple bills. For example, I do this because I love my family, and they deserve more, or I want to travel around the world in my 30s without worrying about money. 2. Choosing. Cash flow management is very important at this point, and it is remembering how you spend your money, perhaps as a poor person, a middle class, or a successful millionaire with a lot of assets. I recommend this information about how millionaires spend their money. 3. Friends and relationships. It's very important to relate to people you admire. They don't need to be rich. What is important is their mentality, that they usually talk about business, and they have ideas of how different markets work to have a panoramic view of the world. 4. Find your method. Once you have mastered and internalized the way you're going to make money and put it into practice, it is time to learn a new one, since the only way to conserve and generate money is understanding that the market constant is the change, and if you don't believe me, look at Blockbuster or Nokia. 5. Self-discipline. Never forget that no one else will generate good assets apart from you. So keep expenses low and buy luxuries after assets, because they will continue to pay you after buying what you want, and don't get excited with your credit card. 6. Pay well. Think in the many times the average person would prefer to dedicate 20% or 50% on luxuries and comforts, but only 7% for their stockbroker or real estate manager. So they'll want to spend as little time as possible with you and will not hear the latest news from someone who is 24/7 on the field. It is also a good idea to ask your advisor about your investments and thus obtain the best ones, for example, asking a stockbroker how many actions they personally own, etc. 7. Charity. Remember that in case you are in trouble, it's a good idea to give people what they need, and so people will be more inclined to return information or even money, but we do not recommend planning it. Just do it if you think that it's the right thing to do, such as sharing information about the boom and receiving it, or donating money for their services. There are many other forms of donations, and if you want to find them, just think about the daily needs that you would like to solve. 8. Educate your heirs. Many times large companies simply go to waste because they have no manager in their circle who would be in charge in case you are no longer able to work or you want to take a break. Therefore, they'll not achieve true freedom and will be obliged to stay in their spot. 9. Heroes. It is a good idea to have one or several heroes or people you look up to. For example, imagine that your greatest hero or idol is Warren Buffett, then study their methods of buying stocks and think as if you were them, and in the same way as Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. 10. Security. This is a very common thing in novice investors, in which they try to amass a large amount of money to put them into a business. This is a very bad strategy because you are losing money while still collecting that large sum. It is also too risky because if you make a mistake you can lose everything. However, if you invest in 10 different businesses you will have to make 10 mistakes to lose everything. Hi everyone. Today on ZenturiansMoney.com we have a new video for you. Why be rich? Will you be replaced by a machine or will you have to work as one? without retirement or rest. Do you want to work in front of a computer until your 70s, or do you prefer to find a way to make that money work and you rest? If you want to have money without working, let's see this video. Many times, history is taught to us in school, although it may seem insignificant. If it were well applied, we could understand how we got to the current situation and thus understand the course and decide if it is a good idea to follow the same path that led us here, or it is a better idea to change the course of the boat because we are heading towards a storm. The first thing to understand is the way that the industrial and other revolutions come to us daily life. Like in any change, there are winners and losers, and today shifts are technological advances. But let's study the Industrial Revolution to understand the way of how some unknown people got rich and famous. I mean, when the Industrial Revolution started, some kept doing the same thing, but one day a tractor replaced the work of 10 men. This fact can generate as many opinions as receivers. Here is one of the main ones. Mankind could have dedicated itself to something nobler than harvesting. The one who created that machine never thought about the future of his partners. The engineer isn't the problem. The problem is in who bought the machine because they preferred it instead of his workers. The lack of unions, subsidies, and government caused damage to the peasantry. Regardless of which point of view you agree on, none of the above leads anywhere, as they teach nothing unless you plan to form a union against any technological advancement of humanity. The true way to progress and analyze this fact is based on the way you want to progress, perhaps as employee. I will train myself in the operation and repair of these machines. Self-employed, I will buy a machine and charge for each hour of work it does. Entrepreneur, I will create a company of agricultural machines as well as developing more machines. Investor, I will lend money to companies in exchange for a certain percentage, so I will earn with the companies even though I never worked for them. The people who thought like this were possibly those who won in the Industrial Revolution. And at Centurion, we'd focus on training this type of thinking, especially those of the business owner or investor group, because they are the ones that enjoy the highest earnings, while the mechanic or self-employed depended on their time to make money. Entrepreneurs and investors should only focus on the first part of the business, then they could hire a manager to do their job, giving them time to study the direction of the world and get there before others do. That is, in the beginning, these machines were powered by steam, but if you had the time and ingenuity such as an entrepreneur or an investor, you would have realized the limitations of the system and you could have discovered that oil was a perfect solution, that at the moment was worth nothing, and for the next revolution you would be a millionaire, because you had a plan, and you didn't feel with fear of being replaced. Back in the modern world, many revolutions brought us to where we are today. A welfare state that is strongly inclined towards subsidies and social security. Because of the introduction of democracy, the majority of people voted for the politician who offered the most subsidies, unions, or pensions. It is incredible if you are a worker, that is, the government helped you pay your mortgage or transport. They also assured you that your company could not fire you overnight and that after several years you would receive enough money to retire and enjoy the rest of your years. However, the problem with these programs lies in the lack of social autonomy. That is, there would be no problem with subsidies if they were only used in an emergency and all members of the community without exception did so. However, in our supposed advanced society, more of the people who get government's help do it for laziness and don't for inability. Besides, most politicians have any economic knowledge. For example, when a company goes bankrupt, bureaucrats prefer to pay a subsidy to the new unemployed than to lower their spending and thus taxes so that companies can grow faster, and these are the ones that hire those employees. And mistake after mistake, the government is currently more bankrupt than ever. For example, in the United States, that country of intelligent economists and entrepreneurs, its politicians seem to have attended another school. Currently, about 80 million baby boomers will have to receive their full pension because they have contributed for a lifetime. However, the government does not have any of these funds. And the government will have to dive into debt to deliver on what was promised for about another 20 to 30 years, thanks to the increased life expectancy. Many will wonder what happened to that money, but the truth is a bit simpler. Whereas in the past the dollar was backed by gold, today the dollar is just a currency. That is, while baby Boomers knew that with a certain fixed amount of dollars they would get a fixed amount of gold. Today the price of the dollar is in line with demand and supply. In other words, it's just printed paper, and central banks can print as much money as they have paper and ink, but not as much gold as they want. An image is better than 1,000 words, but every country has their own politics, so we invite you to Google your country's retirement policy. It will not take more than 15 minutes and you will know how much good or bad it actually is. Please give us to know your case. Also, you can watch this video about the lifestyle of an average worker and how not to fall into the trap. It is true that from your decisions right now you shape your future. But starting with $1 trillion debt to pay for the retirement of your parents and even grandparents is not the same as starting debt-free. Just imagine the reforms that your politicians will have to promote. Retirement age of over 80. 30% taxes on the salary for pension savings. Privatization of public hospitals, and only those with enough money will be able to go to the doctor. And this was just the beginning. With the tendency of countries to age and have more pensioners than employees, governments should push for more drastic measures, not to mention that more and more companies open their factories in Asia, and at the end of the day there are more consumers than producers. This phenomenon is known as a trade deficit. However, politicians are not interested in losing their popularity and prefer to dig deeper through the fiscal deficit, higher government spending than tax revenue. If you want to get out of this pension problem and wait for the next revolution with open arms like our oil tankers have, we recommend that you face the pension absence. From there, you will understand that it is not best to save for a pension, especially when your interests are lower than inflation. Number of things you can buy with a certain number of tickets. We advise you to start investing, because the government will no longer be able to take care of you paying your college or medical services. And if you are sure that you will have a well-paid job, the government will take that money with taxes. Nowadays times require that you be a millionaire. There is no more an option. The future of the middle class. In the 20th century, the United States and Europe could proudly boast of a growing and strong middle class that allowed them to democratize, while improving their lifestyle and economy. And the truth is that the middle class is very important in a society because it has enough money to buy good quality products that companies enlarge and thus generate new jobs. Furthermore, it is self-sufficient and does not depend on government subsidies, while paying the necessary taxes for the government to ensure well-being. And from a political point of view, it is not easy to deceive, thus avoiding corruption. But the dream is ending, and if you do not believe us, just look at those countries that have already passed the Industrial Revolution, and you will see how unemployment rises to the pace of automation or the contract of remote foreign personnel. You will realize that you need more than a specialization to escape poverty and reach wealth. By looking at the list of factors because you can be replaced, you can already get an idea of what awaits you. Professionals in developing countries charge less but have practically the same training thanks to globalization. Taxes in countries that are not welfare states are lower for companies. Machines have no unions. Machines do not demand. Machines have no salary. Machines do not contradict corporate decisions. Machines work every hour each day. Do you still think that the middle class, the university degree dependent one, will live on? Most likely, in the future, there will be only two classes, those with assets and those with nothing. At Centurion Z, we prefer that your concerns are not a plate of food, and we recommend that you educate yourself financially from now on. If you want to be rich today and in the future, we recommend that you educate yourself correctly as to have the necessary vision to find the next gold rush before the average person knows of its existence. And for this you need to think for yourself. That is, a machine can work harder and without rest, but working hard is not the same as working smart. Working smart means doing more with less effort, and in this way you can beat machines. Now is the time for you to ask yourself and be honest. Do you want to win everything, or do you want to stop playing? What type of investor are you? Do you invest not to lose or to win? Those who don't invest, it will be 60 to 80% of the population that will have to distribute 1 to 5% of the global wealth. Invest not to lose. They diversify and prefer to give someone else their money to invest for them, this for fear of losing their money. They only earn 3 to 5% annually. And they will be 10-30% of the population, and 5 to 9% of the wealth will be distributed. Invest to win. This guy is tired of being part of the majority or average. They want to beat themselves, so they will stand out, have the freedom and power, and will be the winners. We can double or triple the amount of money annually. They will be 5% of the population and 90% of the wealth will be distributed. Ready to be part of this prominent minority? Hi everyone, today on ZenturiansMoney.com we have a new video for you. Do you have to be smart to be rich? Why do stockbrokers exist and why shouldn't we trust what they say? How to be your own financial advisor. Many people want you to feel inept when it comes to finances. For various reasons, just think like one of those financial advisors and you will see why they do what they do. First, if you are part of that group, you can control millions of dollars from others without having to respond in case something goes wrong, but you will charge a commission if it goes good. That is usually a percentage for handling this amount. Inside the mind of the average financial advisor. For example, let's consider the viewer to be an athlete, artist, engineer, lawyer, or doctor. And thanks to their work they can save several $1,000s annually. However, they were never educated in finance, either because the money was associated with greed, looked bored or did not think it was useful. So you entrusted your savings to someone else, a stock investor or equity investor, the two most popular advisors among non-loss investors. We also have a video about the types of investors. However, these financial advisors rarely know what they are doing. And we can check this in a very simple way. Ask your advisor how many assets he or she has. According to surveys carried out on stockbrokers and mutual funds, only 20% of them would be willing to invest in what they advise. Crazy, don't. And, most likely, they have no assets and live only on their investment commissions. Therefore, you are giving all this that you achieved with the effort to someone who generally has more power of conviction than financial experience. And the truth is that here is the risk in giving your money to the man who calls himself a teacher, but he still goes to Wall Street by subway. In other words, no more than another employer in a different area. We know this may sound harsh at first. There are plenty of equity investors and brokers who are excellent at what they do. But these are not cheap and tend to charge high commissions. However, we strongly advise giving 20% to someone who knows what they are doing, before relying on an asset less selling for 7% commission. Not all that glitters is gold, and trusting 100% in a single investor is putting all your eggs in the same place. Although we must admit that we know the best investor you can find around the world, and this person doesn't charge a commission, look at them in any mirror, and you may ask for the phone. We recommend this investor for several reasons, because he or she understands that everything done will be for them, not for your boss, government, or bank. And most importantly, you will not play with someone else's money, so you will be more careful before giving the green light to the transaction. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I suggest you see our complete playlist. How to choose your strategy to grow rich. Being good at something is not enough to become a millionaire. Choosing the battlefield in the war strategy, yes. In today's economy there are 4 battlefields: employee, self-employed, entrepreneur, and investor. Each one has its advantages and disadvantages. The really important thing here is based on that you are honest with yourself and choose the one that you like the best and the best benefits it can bring you. Employee, their motto is security, so they usually stay in the same place. The wealth cases here are quite limited. One of the few successful examples are the managers of large companies, who work 12 hours per day. Self-employed, their motto is autonomy. They believe that for something to be done well they have to do it themselves. Although they are not employees and do not have a boss, they play under the same rules of payment for hours of work. We make an aside here because the previous two are those that are formed in schools, that is, they are part of the majority and therefore do not enjoy many privileges. Entrepreneur, their motto is leadership. They know that you do not need to be smart to have a company. You should only hire those who, if they are, because they will do the hard work. They are also responsible for sales, but also how the cake will be distributed. Investor, their motto is freedom. These prefer others to make it rich, before working for themselves, so they personally invest in stocks, real estate, bonds, and other things. Business groups have twice the advantage because they not only receive the largest pieces of the pie, furthermore, they are protected by the government. Because no politician likes unemployment and low popularity, So they lower taxes on companies and investors as they promote employment. What does well to the majority of the population? Also, these are not the type of savers, because an economy of savers shrinks, while one of investors grows. Just think how many things you would buy if you keep all your income under your mattress. Exactly, nothing. And as most know, the economy grows as sales grow. A saving society is not a good system, but neither is a credit society. Well, it depends on the credit. Now it's time to clarify that there is good credit and bad credit. Words more or words less, the good one is the one used to generate assets, while the bad one is the one that aims to get a liability. We remember that an asset produces money while a liability spends money monthly. However, it is well known that lost money can be recovered, because you learn how to invest for the next time and thus recover the money. But lost time does not teach you much. That is, at first glance it may seem safer to waste an hour in calculus for an economist in training than $500 in a bad investment. However, insurance does not pay well, and while one knows how to make operations that he will never use, the other knows how to invest appropriately for the next time. We clarify that we are referring to time wasted on activities that do not benefit, and money misused for activities without purpose. Have the power and do what you want most. Many people popularly associate this with something bad, because it supposedly corrupts the soul or generates suffering and greed. But, this is a thought molded to easily control those without power. Also, stories are made up that power is surpassing others, and clearly many will use their influences to make laws. But the vast majority of us refer to power as the freedom to choose what happens. That is, choosing the interests, income, taxes, or the appearance of the business and not depending on others to decide until what day you can continue working there. The real power is doing more with less by bringing people together to support this common cause. In this case, you have the possibility to choose the plan to be taken, so creativity is very important and see every problem as an opportunity to create a solution and therefore a business. In investments, which means having power over investments means deciding on how the company operates. And for this, you need more than a financial advisor, who in most cases does not invest their own money where he tells you to. However, having power means being rich, because it is investing in things that you can manage. For example, many people who are proud of their car would not lend it to the first boy who asked for it, even if you go inside during the journey, for the simple reason that you do not have the steering wheel, and unless you can get inside the minds of others and knowing how good they are at what they do is impossible to know if they are the right ones for the business. It's 1,000 times better that you learn to run your business and take it where you want and it seems best to you. So stop feeling bad about having more money and wanting more, be proud of it and you begin to treat it as such, because with money you are the one with the power, not only about how to pay and spend within your business, but also about how and where to travel, what to do on a Monday and whom to obey and hire. So have your business now. Many when we talk about business think of a company that was formerly closely related to factories, plantations, or mines, but as we have already talked about it, the world has changed and a company is not just one that sells a product. Now it's easier. For example, think about what you like best and how you can earn money doing it. Even now, you already have a business mission. Now find a way to monetize or sell it. Remember, this may even be information. Just look at us. We love financial literacy, and we earn money and experience through this. And you are one of us, an entrepreneur, whom, despite the difficulties of having a factory or a management center, has enough vision to see these problems as opportunities when we turn on our laptop. Are you ready to develop your idea and form your business? We know that you are already excited that you have an idea, and now is the time to think. Study before you act, saving you time, money, and failed attempts. Before you launch that business, find someone who knows about it. You can do it for free on the internet, watch blogs, videos, or listen to podcasts of the legends in that area. You will learn what to do or to pay for someone's professional advice. Then, draw up a strategy and a way to achieve it. Study how to make it successful, if it's the way or how, that is, through social networks, internet pages, physical business, books, etc. Since you know what and how to produce, think a few days about how to optimize that others plan and make it yours. Here you can combine several strategies, for example, in our case having a website, a YouTube channel, a podcast, our Zenturian Z courses and our consulting projects. Of course, we need your support. As you saw, we combined several strategies to offer a complete experience, because not all learners learn the same, and that allowed us to be in several markets. You can read more about us on our About Us page. Once you have these strategies turned into your own plan, look for people who make your job simpler, promote employment and freedom. This is called having a team, and you need leadership for it. Socialize your idea with yours, let them participate, and you will increase the flow of new ideas. I'm not lying when we tell you that the original idea was a YouTube channel. You already have the what, the how, and the equipment. You have everything you need to form your company or business, So start work and make that others work, and depending on the product you are developing, you can launch it in the market in a few weeks. Don't rush. Remember that an unsatisfied customer is a lost customer. We were trained in the first modern pandemic, and it took us several months before the first publication. So don't worry about it. Good things take time, and think about how much time you have already wasted in your job, college, or university. Well, this was a small guide. If you want to receive a more detailed one with more steps, subscribe our channel, read our blog, listen to our podcast, even better if you do everything. We also have an exclusive premium program for you.